You're listening to
Hello, Huddersfield.
the Voices of Huddersfield Inspiring the Future Vision. Hello, and thank you for listening to Hello Huddersfield. Today for our podcast, we have with us Jonny Slow, Company Director of such organisations as the Parish, Arcade Coffee and Arcade Beers, who will share with us his visions for Huddersfield Town Centre in the near future and beyond. To get involved with this or future podcasts, please feel free to email us at inquiries@huddersfield.co.uk. Co-hosting the show with myself, Sophie, we have bid manager Matthew Chapman, who will join the discussion throughout. Hi, Matthew. How are you today?
Hi, Sophie. I'm really well, thank you. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Hi, Jonny. How are you doing today?
I'm okay, thank you. Yourself?
I'm well, thanks. So tell us a little bit about what you do and your relationship to Huddersfield.
I've been coming to Huddersfield since about 2002 when we left. I left Hull, and my friend went to university in Huddersfield. So I used to come over every now and then. So I've been visiting Huddersfield on and off for about 18 years. But just over 5 years ago, I opened up a business, Arcade Beers, with my business partners, Mark and Tom, and got involved with the Parish as well, which we also own. So over the last 5 years, we've been developing the Parish, Arcade Beers. We've got Arcade Coffee and Food now as well. And we've opened up a spot in Marsden as well. So yeah, basically food and drink and the live music venue of the Parish in Huddersfield, really.
It's quite exciting that you've actually expanded Arcade Coffee and Food to Marsden. How's that going?
Yeah, it's good. It's sort of, because we've got the beer shop and the coffee shop, so we've got essentially two customer bases. We had an opportunity before the pandemic to open in Marsden, and we were and ahhing which sort of route to go down over there. And we've sort of we sort of decided to do a beer focused kind of small plates or tapas kind of thing there, and it's confused people a little bit. It's been good, the reception's been good. Marsden's got a fantastic community, but some people have been going expecting it to be brunch, coffee. Some people have been going just to get beers, so we're working on it. It's a process, but it's the people of Marsden have really warmed to us. I think it's they recognise what we've done in Huddersfield, and are excited about what we're doing over there.
And did you mention, Jonny, just to go back a couple of conversations? Did you say that you came to university here, or was it your friend that came?
No, it was my business partner Tom. So I went to Lincoln. We didn't get very far from Hull. Me and Tom, and he came to Huddersfield. I've known my business partner Tom for 32 years now, so it's it's a little, it's my longest relationship with a friend. So it's good, and got the opportunity to come over and sort of see what he was doing here and vice versa. And it's just, Huddersfield's always been just somewhere that's been on my radar ever since I left home, really.
What do you think it was for your business partner and yourself that kind of made you make that decision in Huddersfield, if that made sense? Was it just a natural step? Did you fall into it, or was there something that stood out?
I think for my business partner, it would have probably been a combination of just enjoying the place. He went to university, and a bit of laziness, really. He was working in a bar, the Parish, and just continued to work there and took it over. What brought me here was my various trips coming over to Huddersfield to sort of get involved with the drinking culture. We've got it's always been fantastic for coming to drink, and seeing the potential to open up Arcade Beers. He already had the Parish by this point, sort of 5 years ago, and it was an opportunity really to, me to join him and open something that we were both excited by. And at that moment in time, it was just literally craft beer. So it was very much focused on what Magic Rock were doing, really. They're one of the front runners in what the craft beer movement was or still is. Having that opportunity to get inside of the Byram Arcade with a little tiny bottle shop was just too good to miss up, really.
Absolutely, and I think you actually you've read my mind there. So that was going to be my next point on both arcade beers and arcade coffee and food being in the Byram Arcade, and kind of what a wonderful venue that is as a hidden gem and a great mixture of retail, hospitality, and obviously we're based in there as our bid office.
Yeah, it is a hidden gem, and it is hidden. People still don't realise that there's a cafe in the back, and there's all those other bits in there. There's jewelers, there's tattooists, there's a photographer in there. It is a bit hidden, and I remember early on in my days coming to Huddersfield and remembering there was a vintage shop in there, Working Class Heroes, who's moved out of Huddersfield now. But I remember sort of going in there one visit and then coming back, a month or a couple of years later, trying to find the place again. And it is difficult to see. It's beautiful. It's absolutely stunning. When you look at our presence on Instagram and stuff like that, all the shops, it's a stunning setting. But it is difficult to find, even though it's literally a 45-second walk from the train station.
Jonny, I've noticed that the parish has moved. Could you tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, so the parish has moved. I can't go into too much details of that because of various sort of ongoing issues, but we were given an opportunity to move the parish, and we took it, really. We've spent a lot of time over the years making that place just a venue, a fantastic venue. We were punching above our weight with the bands we were getting in there. We had a fantastic customer base, and we hopefully will sort of continue that going forward once sort of the lockdown has lifted a bit. We've already got some fantastic bands sort of lined up, and again punching above our weight of what the capacity is. So I think it's about 400 the capacity of the venue there. So we've gone up from 170 to 400, and already we've started booking bands which would comfortably sell out that. But it's an exciting prospect, and hopefully we can be a reason to come to Huddersfield. Already, I believe the parish was, but we're going to sort of try and vary our offer there. It's still going to be a rock venue at its core, at its heart, but there's going to be some other offerings now because we've got that much bigger venue, we've got that better space. But yeah.
I think that's it's a really interesting point you make there, Jonny, because I know that the people are way cooler than me. When we've been speaking to them about Huddersfield and asking pretty much the same questions we're talking about today, that they've looked at the parish and not realised the if you like the calibre of artists that you're getting in there. They were pleasantly surprised or shocked to a certain extent of the names that the parish were attracting. And you're right, that definitely is a reason to be attracting people to Huddersfield in the nighttime and evening economy. Yeah,
we've got two fantastic promoters, Mikey and Aaron. They're just they're doing an incredible job. They cover sort of all bases of music genres, and we've had some bands which really shouldn't have played in a 170 capacity venue. And we've got a bit of a name about us, and there's some really fond memories of gigs there, and hopefully those memories will go into the future as well. We'll have some more memories to give.
That takes me nicely onto the next question, actually. So what's your favourite memory of your time in Huddersfield?
Well, sort of going on to, there's been various gigs that we've had at the parish. So just to name a couple, having Open Mike Eagle from America over, he was fantastic. And Pigs times 7. Again, they two of the memorable shows from that place, which is fantastic. Not having to go to Manchester or Leeds to see those bands is great. But in terms of like a memory, which is in the early days of the beer shop, being in there, and Magic Rock used to do, or they still do it, but it's obviously not the same now. It's with the lockdown, but they used to do beer releases, and one of them was they called the Cannonball Run, and it used to bring people from all over the country in. And when they were doing that, the beer shop would be busy, it would be thriving, would have people coming in off the train, all over the country, coming in, seeing what we're doing in the beer shop, going off to Magic Rock, coming back. It was just like a sort of a melting pot of them the beer scene, really. You know, breweries from all over the world have been in Huddersfield, and you know, fortunately, our beer shop as well. So just that kind of community that we had and still do in the beer shop is, you know, it's fantastic. Some very good memories there.
What do you think is or needs to be Huddersfield's unique selling point?
I think its location is a really good selling point. You've got such good transport links to other cities around the area, so it's a good place to live if you're living somewhere else. Its proximity to the countryside, we've got some fantastic villages. We mentioned Marsden earlier, Slough, you know, they're within a 10-minute train journey from the town centre. In terms of its unique selling point, I honestly think its location is one of them, and its history. You know, there's some fantastic buildings in the town centre. There's it's a very pretty town centre. You know, if you look up, it's a very pretty town centre, and the work that the bid's done on cleaning it has been fantastic as well. It's just a shame there's a few empty shops, and you know, but it's what it's like around the country, isn't it? You know, people are often quite negative on what they see locally, whereas that actually is something that is around the country. You know, there's a lot of empty shops, but I think there's on the new unique selling point of it. Its location, it's beautiful, its history. You know, there's a lot of history there, and the Rugby League Museum coming is a sign of you know, its history being important.
I think there's some superb points there, Johnny. I've just made a couple of notes to go over, and the location. You're absolutely right. The I guess the accessibility of Huddersfield for lots of different areas of the northern England is perfect to pull people in. And it's really interesting you mentioned the villages and smaller towns that surround Huddersfield, and some of the conversations that we've had with people probably throughout the past year is that people kind of want to replicate what's happening in those smaller towns in Huddersfield now. They kind of want Huddersfield to kind of have that kind of city feel, but in a village environment in a weird kind of way. So they want Huddersfield to be unique and keep that kind of local feel and that uniqueness about the town. But naturally, they want it in an environment where there's more independent traders. It's got that village feel. You know the person behind the counter of the shop. You know the person behind the counter of the bar. And yes, and that's that's a difficult thing to replicate in a way in a town centre environment. But I understand why people kind of want and feel that. And the architecture, you're absolutely right. I was reading something yesterday that said that Huddersfield's got more listed buildings than Bath, which is an incredible fact, really. And you're right. You know, if you're walking around the town and look up, there's some incredible architecture and buildings and sites to behold. And I guess that one of the final points you meant was on the empty vacant units, and in a way that's it's an opportunity, I guess. And again, we're having conversations with all kinds of people to improve the offer of the town. But one of the things that I've if you like, got data and facts on is that Huddersfield in a way is bucking the trend, and I think it's quite all right to say that maybe before COVID-19 hit, Huddersfield had already lost a couple of the national brands such as Marks and Spencer's, and the town and the council and the bid and everybody else was already looking at new ways to encourage inward investment. So in a funny kind of way, I think Huddersfield's probably ahead of the game because we were already looking at different ways to pull people in the town, and yeah, the past year is going to accelerate some of that even faster. But I feel like we're kind of in a good place because we're a little bit ahead of the game of some of the other towns and cities that maybe hadn't already started that journey.
It just goes to show how. Sorry, Johnny. Go on.
That's fine.
I was just going to say that it just goes to show how resilient we are as a town centre as well.
Yeah, you're right. There's and also there has been people are taking this opportunity, with COVID, there is opportunity, with things closing. There's been bars, there's people working on bars, cafes all around the town centre. There's the Yorkshire bar, which I think it's down Kingsgate, isn't it? Which I'm looking forward to getting into once it's open, and also the Vinyl Cafe, I think it's called, which these are two things, and there's more. There's at the end of Station Street, I believe there's a couple of cafes opening up as well, which I'm looking forward to trying. But there's people are taking these opportunities and seeing that there is something there with Huddersfield. I think if you I talk to a lot of business owners around the country, and there's a general consensus that if your business in this time is in a smaller town, like I live in Saltaire, the cafes in Saltaire, I reckon, I know that they would have taken a similar amount of money last year as they did on a previous year. Whereas if you look at a cafe in Leeds or Manchester, it'll be very different. They don't have those people coming in, and Huddersfield's in that sort of mid sort of. It's not with it being a town, a big town. It doesn't quite have the sort of residential town centre for businesses to benefit off at the moment. So yeah, it is. It's a resilient place, and luckily we've got a lot of people coming into the town centre still. But there's still, it's difficult. It is difficult.
Yeah, it is really, really difficult for a lot of businesses. And I think one of the things you mentioned there was residents and residential dwellings. And I know that there's some really, really interesting plans in Kirklees Council's 10-year blueprint plan to introduce those dwellings in lots of huge vacant buildings at the moment around town. And I think that is something that probably is needed a little bit more in the town centre, that community feel and those residents. And then I guess once you've got those residents, you can then maybe emulate what's happening in the places that you mentioned, such as Marsden and Slough and Honley and all those other little pockets around the town centre. Because I suppose they are supported by the residents within.
Oh, completely. Yeah, it's that having it really surprises me that there isn't any sort of not high end but flats in and around that train station where you'd get young couples, professional couples, or young professionals in. It just really surprises me that there's a lack of that, because it, like earlier, the proximity of a train ride away to some of the places with like Leeds and Manchester. The idea of living in Huddersfield and commuting elsewhere, it seems it's if I was 10 years younger, it would be an appealing thing, but it's it just there doesn't seem to be that much there at all, does it, in the town centre, which does I find confusing, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree, and hopefully that'll something that'll change over the coming years.
Good.
I think you've quite covered what you see as the challenges for the Huddersfield Town Centre. Do you think there are any other challenges that we may face in the future?
I think the main challenge, if I think there's lots going on there, but it's the biggest challenge is people's perception of it, whether that's people that live in Huddersfield or people outside of Huddersfield. There's a big negative sort of vibe, for want of a better word, of the town centre in terms of, there's empty shops. You look at the newspapers when we were able to open in the nighttime economy. The press towards the nighttime economy was so negative, and it is, it puts people off from coming in the town centre. I think there needs to be some kind of change in the attitude from the media on the negativity towards their negativity in the town centre. I think people of Huddersfield are very, very proud to be from Huddersfield, and they do support what we do, and it's fantastic. They support all those amazing businesses in the town centre. That's not what I'm getting at. There's more of a negative push from the press, in my opinion. I think once, like you said earlier, like having more residential places in town, maybe we can attract some businesses, because there's empty offices, there's empty space there. If we can attract some startups, attract some established companies there. But Huddersfield's fighting with a lot of places, isn't it, for these kind of businesses? And like I said, Huddersfield's a lot better situated for those transport links around the north of England. It's just that those transport links down south which are a bit of a hindrance. So if there could be some kind of direct train from Huddersfield, or a more regular direct train from Huddersfield to sort of London, Birmingham, I think that would improve as well.
We have now come to the end of Hello Huddersfield, and thank you, Jonny, for being with us today on the show. It's really great to see the gigs at the Parish and how much they've given us something to shout about and celebrate in Huddersfield. And you're right, it's really great for us not to have to go out of Huddersfield to Manchester at least to see these fantastic gigs. So thank you for introducing them to Huddersfield. And don't be put off by the vacant units. As we said, the positive is there's a lot of fantastic businesses coming into Huddersfield and taking up these vacant units, and anything that's left vacant is an opportunity for a new business to get involved with the community of Huddersfield Town Centre. Now, listeners, if you have any questions or have something you would like to share, then get in touch at enquiries@huddersfieldbid.co.uk. Keep a lookout for our next podcast or another guest speaker. You're listening to
Hello Huddersfield.
The Voices of Huddersfield, Inspiring the Future Vision.